Panther Nation, today's not about football stats or roster battles. It's about something heavier, something that reminds us how fragile life really is. News broke this morning that Dallas Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Nealon has tragically passed away at just 24 years old. Reports say it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound following a high-speed chase with law enforcement. And man, that one hurts to even say out loud. Because before anything else, before the jerseys, before the headlines, that's someone's son, someone's brother, maybe someone's father. A young man who worked his entire life chasing a dream most people never reach, only to leave this world far too soon. It's heartbreaking. It's scary. And it's a reminder that we never really know the battles people are fighting behind the scenes. Marshawn played just days ago, smiling, celebrating his first career touchdown. You'd never think that same young man would be gone this soon. I don't want to focus on the police chase or the mistakes that were made. Because what matters most right now is compassion, for his family, his teammates, his friends, all trying to make sense of something that makes no sense at all. To Marshawn Nealon, may you rest in peace. You lived a dream so many of us only imagine, and your story, though short, reminds us all to check on our people, to listen, to care, and to never let silence win. So to everyone watching, if you're struggling, please reach out. Talk to someone. There's always another way forward. Life is worth fighting for. Always, after something that heavy, it's hard to switch gears. But life, as painful as it can be, keeps moving. And sometimes, moments of light help us remember why we love this game, and why we keep believing in our team. So let's take a breath, Panther Nation, and talk about something that did bring a smile this week, Trayvon Moehrig being named the NFL's Defensive Player of the Week. This man has been an absolute force. Against Green Bay, he was everywhere, 5 tackles, 2 for loss, 2 pass breakups, and a clutch interception that sealed momentum when we needed it most. Moehrig played like a veteran general in that secondary, calm, confident, and laser-focused when the game was on the line. And here's what makes it even more special, this marks the 4th Panther this season to win a Player of the Week honor. Rico earned his on defense, Fitzgerald took one on special teams, and Sam Martin snagged his for special teams earlier too. That's balance. That's growth. That's Carolina football finding its rhythm again. If I had to rank the secondary right now, I'd say J.C. Horn's the anchor, Moehrig right behind him, then Mike Jack, Lathan Ransom, and Charles Smith rounding out the top 5. But honestly, everyone's stepping up. Even guys like Corey Thornton have made plays that matter, and it's showing up in the win column. What stands out most though, is how this team performs when everything's on the line. Whether it's against the Cardinals, Miami, Dallas, or Green Bay, when the clock gets tight and the pressure rises, the Panthers don't fold anymore. They fight. And that starts with Bryce Young. When he was asked about why he stays calm under pressure, Bryce didn't hesitate. He said, "It's about consistency. You don't rise to the level of the occasion, you fall back to the level of your training. In those moments, we just trust each other." That's leadership. That's belief. That's Carolina football. And right now, Panther Nation, it feels like this team is finally learning how to win when it matters most. Pressure. It's the one thing that separates the good from the great. The ones who panic, from the ones who prepare. When Bryce Young talked about pressure, he didn't sound like a rookie. He sounded like a man who's been here before, calm, steady, and unshaken. He said, "You don't rise to the level of the moment. You fall back to the level of your training." That right there is the heartbeat of this Carolina team. It's not about doing something flashy or pulling off a miracle. It's about trusting your work, trusting the reps, the sweat, the drills, the film, the repetition that nobody else sees. That's what shows up in the final 2 minutes when everything's on the line. Because when the lights get bright and the clock's winding down, that's not the time to try something new. That's the time to execute what you've already mastered. The greats in every sport, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, they've all been here before in their minds. You know that childhood dream moment, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 3-2 count. 10 seconds left on the clock, ball in your hands at the top of the key. Or, you're the quarterback, down by 6, 1 timeout left. Can you drive 80 yards and finish? That's the dream every athlete grows up simulating, and that's exactly what this Carolina team practices for every single day. So when the real moment comes, they're not nervous. They're ready. That's why Bryce's quote hits so deep. It's not just words. It's the foundation of what this young Panthers squad is building, resilience under fire. And speaking of fire, let's take a moment to lighten things up, because even in a locker room full of warriors, there's always laughter. Yesterday's Panther freeze frame of the day captured a hilarious moment at practice. The whole group crowded around a piece of paper, staring like it was a secret playbook to the universe. You couldn't tell if they were studying film or trying to solve a riddle. But one thing's for sure, moments like that remind you that this game, at its core, is still fun. Now, as always, it's time for Panther Nation to speak their truth. Dave C. Bose said it best, they're getting better every week. If they stay healthy and keep the defense off Bryce, they'll keep climbing. Keep pounding. And he's right. The offensive line has been holding it down, giving Bryce the time he needs to make magic happen. Then there's Billy Pierre 448, who said, at the beginning of the season, I just wanted to see improvement. And it looks like we'll finish with a better record. That's progress. If we hadn't given the ball away so much early on, this offense would already look elite. That's the truth. Because this team has improved, not just in stats or standings, but in heart. You can feel it. Every drive, every snap, every hit, this team's growing tougher. And if Carolina keeps protecting their young quarterback, keeps trusting their training, and keeps fighting like this, then maybe, just maybe, we're watching the foundation of something special being built right before our eyes. Rico Dowdle has quietly become the heartbeat of this offense. When nothing else seems certain, when the game slows down and the air feels heavy, it's Rico who keeps pushing forward, breaking through contact, fighting for every single inch. And honestly, that's the story of this team right now. They're not perfect. They're not flashy. But every week, they're improving, clawing their way towards something real. The Panthers have cleaned up one of their biggest problems, turnovers. In the early part of the season, mistakes cost them games they could have won. Missed reads, tipped passes, fumbles, the kind of moments that break your rhythm and crush momentum. But over the last 7 games, that's changed. Now, Carolina is 5-2 in their last 7, and that's not a coincidence. It's discipline. It's growth. It's belief. When you protect the football, you protect the heartbeat of the game. And this team has finally learned how to do that. Then came a comment that hit home for a lot of fans. Swampy B-Man 7741 said, the team is growing upward. The culture is forming in Carolina. Too early to call 2 wins over Tampa yet. That question hits deeper than it sounds, because what he's really saying is, are we finally ready? Now, calling back-to-back wins over Tampa might still be a little early. The Buccaneers are no joke. They're tough, disciplined, and still fighting with pride. But there's something happening in Carolina that's hard to ignore. The culture is changing. The locker room feels different. You can see it in the body language of players after a win, not just celebration, but expectation. And with Tampa missing key weapons like Mike Evans for a stretch, the door is slowly creaking open. Beat New Orleans next week the way this team should, and suddenly, the division feels wide open. 2 blowout wins against NFC South rivals would send a message to everyone: the Panthers are not rebuilding, they're rising. This team is growing up right in front of us. And you can feel it in every snap. Bryce Young isn't just surviving anymore, he's leading. The defense isn't just reacting, they're dictating. And the fans? They're starting to believe again. Because the truth is, this team has been through too much pain to quit now. Every setback, every close loss, every moment of frustration, it's all been fuel. And as the season pushes toward its final stretch, one thing's becoming clear: Carolina is learning how to finish. Keep pounding. Because something special is being built right here, brick by brick, and when it's done, everyone's going to remember how it started.